Alright, what's good, fishing fam? Welcome to a new video. Now, before this video gets started, I want to go ahead and give a few shout outs to my good friends. The first one goes to Luke's Legos. He's my friend Luke. He makes amazing content. He has little stop motion videos where he has this app. It's called Stop Motion Studios, and he takes a picture, and then he moves the guy, takes another picture, and you take a bunch of pictures, and it becomes like a movie, and they move, and he has really cool content. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description box down below. But these are like the best stop motion videos I've ever seen. They're really, really good. He does an amazing job. He works very hard on them. So please go get him to like 40, 50 subscribers. He's at 11 subscribers right now. So let's go get him some more, please. And yeah, that's the first shout out. Please go subscribe to him. He's awesome. And tell him you came from Outdoor Jack. The second shout out goes to On the Grind with Eli. He asked for a shout out, so I'm going to go ahead and give it to him. He's at like, I think 52 subscribers. He could use more, guys. Let's go get him to 100, because I'm sure he wants to get there. Maybe he's already at 100. I can't remember. But, you know, I popped up both their channels here and whatnot. But, you know, please go subscribe to them and tell them you came from Outdoor Jack or whatnot. And, yeah. Really hope you enjoy this video. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so on to the main point of the video. And I honestly, I don't really know what to call it. I'm just going to call it How to Fish the Texas Rig. How to use the Texas rig. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but it's about Texas rigs, creature baits, whatever you want to call them, what gear to use, what baits to use, and I'm just going to break it down really easy. Now, in this video, I'm going to get into the line, the lure, the reel, the rod, everything. I'm going to get down to the nitty gritty, and I'm going to make sure you know everything you need to know for Texas rigs to go out there and catch some fish. So the first thing we need is a proper rod. So right here, I have my Lew's Mach 2 series of rods. Lew's is an amazing rod company, rod and reel actually. They are so good. This is the smoothest reel ever. It's a it can cast an absolute mile. It's not actually fully spooled right now because I don't know, I ran out of line. You can send me a line if you want to, 4 carbon, 12 pounds. But yeah. Now this is a 7 foot. If you can, I'd recommend getting even longer than that, up to 7'6". But I have a 7 foot, medium heavy power, fast action. So what that means is that, first of all, when you bend the rod, you let go, it's going to return to straight very fast. That's what fast means. And this doesn't bend a whole lot. And then it gets to the backbone. I'm going to tell you why that's important for Texas rigs here in a minute. But if you get an extra fast, it's going to bend something like that. Like it's just a little bit of difference. I don't really think there's a big difference between the two. Like the Fluke Master says, he's still going to fish the same lures on them. I would too. There's not really much difference in them. But, this thing specifically, or this rod specifically, the line weight is for 10 to 20 pounds, minimum being 10, max being 20. Lure weight is from 3/16 ounce to 3/4 ounce. So that's kind of a perfect everything rod. You can really throw just about everything on there. But I specialize this rod for Texas rigs and big moving baits. And like jigs. Now, as for reel, you want a decently fast reel. You can get away with 6:6 to 1 or 6:1 to 1, but get yourself a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio reel. That is gonna be the best gear ratio. It's not gonna be too fast like an 8:1 to 1, but it's not gonna be too slow. So say you flip that bait to drag something like this, and the fish maybe he grabs it and comes at you, and you need to have a fast gear ratio to set the hook real quick. Or together your line and set the hook real quick. Or maybe you're just fishing in really deep water and you just need to reel in a ton of slack before you set the hook. That's fine, because what I'll do is sometimes I'll have a lot of slack line just sitting on the top of the water, and when I see it go, reel real quick and set the hook. That's how it works for me. Sometimes they'll even take most of the line out with them, so that's pretty good too. But the special thing I like about this rod is that these are wind grips. So the grips on this thing are big, which I like. It's supposedly a super low profile reel. I don't see how that works, but it does. But I tried to film this video before, but it turned out really bad. But it's like easy to grip. Like you don't have to grip it super hard to get it to reel. It's almost like you only have to touch it to get it to reel. It gets a super it just responds fast. It doesn't have a lot of torque. Like it doesn't take a lot to get the reel moving. But this is the most comfortable material ever, especially if you got like raisin hands or whatever, you got wrinkles in your hand and you're fishing in the ocean, or you're probably not gonna fish this in the ocean. But or you're bass fishing and you got a lot of water on your hands. Again, raising hands. I hate raising hands so much. And some grips just don't feel good with raising hands. This will feel very good with raising hands. It'll feel fine, and you're still going to be able to fish to your best ability. Let me explain why you want that medium heavy fast. So, if you don't know, so listen. I'm guilty of this too. I used to fish a Texas rig in almost everything in my tackle box on a medium power rod. Now, I got away with it for a long time. It wasn't like a super bendy medium heavy, or medium. It was just, it bended a decent amount, but not as much as my new combo. But, let me tell you why you don't want a medium heavy, or why you don't want a medium power for this. So this is my only medium power rod. This is medium fast. I have a jerkbait tie on it. What does that tell you? This is my jerkbait and cranking combo. It's a graphite rod with a lot of give. I'll go ahead and flash a clip right. I'm gonna take a screenshot and show you what the medium heavy looked like when it bent like that. It didn't bend at all, basically. This is what this looks like. It bends a whole lot more. It bends almost half the blank. It bends so much. And what that does for you is if maybe you're fishing a crankbait on the bottom and the fish grabs it and barely gets hooked or something, and oftentimes it'll be a big fish, and oftentimes they'll come up, they'll jump, and what happens is obviously they're barely hooked here, and then when your rod doesn't give, basically that fish is able to throw that lure because your rod's just pulling. If it's too stiff of a rod for a crankbait, it's pulling away as it's trying to throw that lure. That is not going to help you get the fish in. It's just going to it's going to have way more leverage to throw that lure if the rod is not giving. But yeah. It's kind of like tug of war. Imagine there's like big guys on the other end, and you pull really hard, you're pulling really hard. If you let go, what is going to happen? Because they're pulling a lot. Imagine they're the fish and you're the angler. If you just let go for a second, they're just going to fly all over the place and they're going to win. They're probably going to hurt themselves too. But that's basically the same concept is when that fish is pulling, when your rod is stiffening, you're usually going to lose the fish. Kind of same thing with jerkbaits, except you may get more trebles in with a jerkbait. You may get more trebles in with a crankbait too. That's just a kind of worst case scenario type thing. And if you have a big bass on, that's definitely not what you want. But a medium power rod will give. Get a medium moderate if you can. Medium fast will work, but medium moderate is a little bit better. But I can feel everything on the bottom of this. This is a great rod. But yeah, that's why you don't want it for. Let me get down to why you don't want this for a Texas rig. Because imagine maybe you flip that Texas rig in the grass, or you're fishing really deep water, and you try to hook as hard as you can. And I don't really know how to say this, except you need more power. Medium power doesn't have as much power because, first of all, this is only a 7-foot rod. If it was 7'6", this might have a little bit more power, but it bends like half the blank. So it's really hard to get a good hook set in with those soft plastics because you're trying to dig that hook out of the soft plastic and into the fish's mouth. It's really hard to drive with a medium power rod. It's hard to drive a big Texas rig hook. Now, if none of that just made sense to you, then comment down below and I will link a video on actually what happens. Or I'll just link a video anyway on what I actually mean by that. But let's get down to the line. So the line, you can kind of go all out. It doesn't really matter. I would, for the best performance on your Texas rig, I would get 12 to 15 pound fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon sinks. Monofilament sits on the top of the water. Braid sits on the top of the water. Braid is better for flipping and punching into heavy cover. Mono is better for when you don't want to use braid and you just want to use a top water, which is rare for me. I almost never use mono. I don't think I ever really will again. Braid completely pushes it to the side. Braid and mono, those new lines that come out, mono gets pushed to the side. I don't really use it anymore. I don't think you should either. It's not a good line anymore. I mean, it's okay. It comes with most rod and reel combos out there, Walmart and stuff. But, those are cheap rod and reel combos, nevertheless. But I think mono or braid and fluorocarbon are so much better. Here's why. So maybe you decide, oh, I want to flip the Texas rig into the grass or whatever, lily pads. I'm like, oh, but I don't think my mono or my 4-carbon can handle it. It's only 12 pounds. Pop out my 30-pound braid, flip that thing in there. I'll be flipping all day long and not lose a single lure. Now listen, don't have to do this, but make sure you have, just in my opinion, I think basically that, none of that probably made sense. I think 4-carbon's the best line because it sinks and it's going to give your lure the best performance on the bottom of the water. Especially if you're using a crankbait or jerkbait, you need fluorocarbon for that. So I hope that sums it up for you on the gear. Make sure you have a good stiff rod with a lot of backbone, a fast gear ratio reel. And by the way, I forgot to mention, this is a 10-ball bearing reel. It is a good reel. Get wind grips if you can. I'll link the specific combo down below. It's really amazing, and yeah. Now we're gonna get to lures. Now when you're choosing lures, it's actually quite simple. I think the best big profile Texas rig creature bait is the Googan bait Kraken Craw. This is a little bit smaller than what I have on the rod currently. You can use any size you want. This would be better for like a jig trailer or something. You can still use it for a Texas rig. It just might be a little bit harder. That's a really good bait. I got a deal because you can see that red sticker there. But they usually come in like a 10-pack or 7-pack, so they get a good quantity in there. Basically, your big top waters you want braid for, flipping into heavy cover you want heavy braid for, and then everything else you want fluorocarbon for, honestly. If it's not top water, you're not flipping into heavy cover, you want fluorocarbon, for sure. So, for instance, now I can't really call this a puncher because this isn't a heavy power rod, but I have a big weight on here. The weight is just quarter ounce or something, but it's a big profile bait. I have 50-pound P-line braid on here. This is my flipping pigeon punching stick. That's what I use for that. I plan on getting an actual heavy power rod soon and stripping this line off here, putting it on that rod, but you know, heavy power rods are for later. Alright, I almost just did an outro, but I forgot to tell you how to fish the Texas rig. So a lot of you may be thinking, okay, I need a good strong rod with a good backbone. I want 4-carbon line or heavy braid. I want a fast gear ratio reel, but how do I fish a Texas rig? Now, before I answer this, if you do have like specific questions, you can actually email me. I'll put my email in the description box down below. Email me and ask me, maybe send me a picture of like you can email me and ask me like do you have any questions? Like you could say, oh, Jack, I found this rod. This is a medium, heavy, moderate fast. Is this a good Texas rig rod? Or is this a good rod for this? You can email me and ask me those questions. Or you can just or you can go to my Discord and ask me those questions as well, because that's a lot easier. I'll also link my Discord. Actually, I'm not going to link I'm going to link my Discord in the description box down below. And I'm also going to link my email address. You can email me or you can DM me on Discord and ask me questions like that, like is this rod good for that or whatnot. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to answer those questions because I'm a junkie in that area. So how to fish the Texas rig. So the first I want to cover is just straight casting it way out in the deep or way out in the middle of the pond or lake or wherever you're fishing.